Hey, welcome back to our shop just outside Kennesaw here in North Georgia. My name's Larry. Today's episode, part 5 of the project to restore this 1927 Singer Treadle sewing machine cabinet and base. And today we're going to be taking finish off. Anybody that follows the channel knows that this is really my least favorite part of the project. But the first thing we're going to do is strip all of the remaining finish off the pieces that remain, the wooden pieces. And the second part is we're going to be taking all the metal pieces outside and stripping the paint off of them using a wire brush on a power grinder. So let's get started stripping the wood, and then we'll take care of the metal later. So here we go. And here's the setup we've got. We've got 2 pieces here that need to be stripped. We've got our liquid stripper here and a brush and a tool and a rag. Got it set up on a table that's protected with plastic. Probably the most important thing when you're using methylene chloride stripper is to protect yourself breathing wise. Make sure you have plenty of ventilation. Don't use it in a confined area. I'm just going to show you real quickly how I do this. I simply put my liquid methylene chloride stripper on the piece and let it set. Try to keep it wet. It's difficult to keep it wet because it wants to dry real quickly. And you can see it's already starting to lift off the finish. 1920 is kind of the break-in period, or the date that we use when we start to identify when lacquer became the finish of choice in manufactured furniture. Prior to that, it was shellac. That kind of got you zoomed in on this small piece here, and hopefully you can see how that finish is coming right off. And now I'm just taking a rag, and there it goes. Okay, that's how I'm going to do it. It's going to take me a little while to get everything stripped. I got the drawers and everything, so I'll bring you back. And we're back, and there's all the pieces that we got the finish stripped off of. Okay, so they've been stripped. So what I'm going to do now is rinse them off with some water to neutralize the stripper and set them aside to dry. And then we'll move on to the base. So I'll show you how I water rinse them, and then we'll go on. Here's one of the pieces to be water rinsed. I have a bucket full of fresh clear water and a terry cloth rag, and basically all I'm doing here is wiping this off, getting in the corners, making sure that any of the residual stripper sees the water to neutralize it. And then I take a dry towel right away and dry them off best I can so I don't raise the grain too much. That's all there is to it. Let me get to the rest of them. And hey, we're back. Just wanted to show you a couple of examples of what happens when you get the finish stripped off an old piece and what you can expect to find. This is one of the blocks that holds the tilt drawer in the front, and as you can see, we've already repaired. There were 2 huge chips here and a split that had been re-glued badly, so that's been taken care of. And then what we have ahead of us here is this huge split in this bottom rail of a drawer casing, and this has been another repair that was done by somebody else. It was glued, and there's a big gap here that we need to fill, so I'll epoxy fill this again the same way that we did the other repair, just using the 2-part epoxy. But the point of this is to let you know that when you get the finish off, expect you're going to find even more damage. It's just the nature of the beast. Alright, let me get to work on these and we'll move forward. And this is the back side of one of the pieces that holds that front drop-down drawer. And it's been bothering me with this stuff is here. At first I thought it was old paper, and then I started to twist this and I noticed that this screw wasn't tight. And then I realized when I started to dig this out that this is all wood filler, and I believe this screw went into the wood filler and it's now completely loose. So this has to come off. This all has to be dug out. It's got to be filled in with epoxy and re-drilled. It's stuff like this that takes what you think is a small job and turns it into a big one. It's all part of the game, but sometimes it does get frustrating. All right, let me see if I can get this off. Well, this is why the screw was loose. Can you imagine that? I can't for the life of me figure out how that got wallowed out the way it did. Okay, let's try to fix it. What I'm going to do in this instance is fill those with epoxy putty, and then we're going to have to re-drill and remount the hinge, which is going to be a bit of a challenge because, as you know, if the hinge mount isn't exact, the drawer doesn't work or the door doesn't work, and I don't have a template to hinge mount it. I will try to copy the location off the other one if I can, but that's what lied under the putty, and that's why the drawer hinge was loose. Who'da thunk? Alright, we're looking at the center drawer, the drop down drawer, and the good hinge that we have, just to get an idea how it goes together. And you can see that with the way the hinge is mounted, it leaves just enough space here for this drawer to move, and it lines it up on the bottom even with the bottom of the drawer. So when we take the hinge that we need to repair and start thinking about how it's going to go with, and in its case the drawer is facing this way, we know that this pin has to be up in this direction. We know it needs to be as far in as this one and as far down as this one. So we'll measure this distance here, this distance in, and then we will mount this pin back on this one, and hopefully it will go right where it needs to go. And you can see some of the repairs that we had to do to the front of this. This was split and improperly glued. So we filled this, we re-sanded it, got it smooth, we got this smooth, and then you saw the mess we had here, and we had to fix that. All right, I'm going to give this just a little bit more time to harden up. And I hope you can see I've got pencil marks along here and along there to position this. And I've got it clamped down now with just a spring clamp. And this is called a VIX bit. It's basically a self-centering drill bit. This spring part pulls back and it fits right in the recess of the hinge plate, and it ensures that the drill goes in straight. So here we go. I didn't drill very far in. I may have to drill a pilot hole. We'll see how this screw pilots in. Okay, looks like we're pretty close. Okay, it's on. Let's hope it works. And as far as height and distance, it looks like it's going to go. That's the side we just replaced. That's the other one. I think we got it. What a mess. Alright, let's move on. And the next step in our process takes us outside. It's time to wire brush off the metal parts. When I do this, I get a little bit anal about safety. I wear a full face respirator because I don't want to breathe any of this dust. I have no idea what kind of chemicals are in that paint. I wear a face shield because high-speed wire can dislodge and go flying through the air. If it sticks you in the arm, you just pull it out. If it sticks you in the eye, you're going to go blind. So protect your face. And then I wear gloves as well. What I'm using is this knotted wire brush on an angle grinder. I buy this at Home Depot. It's about 20 bucks. All right, I will show you, set you up and show you a little bit of this, but then I'm going to take inside so the camera doesn't get damaged, and I've got a ton of work to do. So here we go.
Well, that'll give you an idea how it takes that paint right off. Like right here, there's some paint that I haven't got in the corner. You can see that's come off, and we haven't got up here yet. All right, that's how I do it. I'll bring you back.
Okay, that awful part of the job is over. Took a couple, 3 hours, I suppose. Would have come out a whole lot easier and probably a little bit better if I had a blast cabinet. So those of you that have sandblast equipment, my hat's off to you. I just don't have room for it here, so I have to do these the hard way. They're all the paint's off of them. You can see the silver color, the gray color of the cast iron. And we'll do a little touch up like inside the wheels and all. I'll use a little tiny brush to get in there. And then tomorrow, I guess, we'll get her painted. Got the repair done to the drawer. That's all set. So we're moving forward. The hard part's over. Between stripping the wood and stripping the metal, excuse me, and taking care of those last little repairs, I think we're over the hill. So tomorrow we'll start making things pretty by putting finish on. So anyways, from our shop just outside Kennesaw here in North Georgia, best regards, thanks for watching, take good care. Appreciate you watching. Remember, it's just wood color, shiny stuff, cast iron dust, paint dust, all sorts of stuff. And I will bring you back for part 6 of the restoration of this Singer sewing machine. We'll start to finish it up and get this thing on its way back home. Thanks again for watching. I'm going to go inside and wash up. Take care. Bye.